Cheers, happy Friday evening, at least it is when I'm filming this, and my goodness me, I am ready for this. I've actually been off the paid job today. I've been at home, not putting my feet up unfortunately. Well, not that I really enjoy that, to be quite honest anyway. I've been getting on with making lots and lots of things for the freezer and doing a bit of pressure canning and essentially trying to get ahead for those moments where, you know, life gets a bit crazy and you need a little bit of sanity and help in the kitchen. So I've really missed being outside, because for me to take a day off the paid job and not be in the garden is really unusual, but needs must, and I'm glad that I've got that done. Anyway, that's Mr. Cockerell in the background. He will be joining us at some point, just whenever he feels like it usually. And if you haven't got a clue what I'm doing, sat here with this strange woman in a baseball hat and a glass of wine, the hat is because it gets too bright for me and I just end up sat there like this the whole time. The wine is because I need saving on a Friday night. It's my sanity. No, I'm only joking. It's just a kind of a chill out with you guys, just to have a catch up. And what I'm doing on a Friday is coming into the greenhouse, taking care of all the tomatoes that are in here, which looks like there's quite a bit of taking care to be done, if I'm quite honest with you. A lot of movement since last week, which is great because that means growth. But also it's kind of morphed into discussing and planning what I'm going to get done in the kitchen garden over the weekend. So these style of videos are purely garden related. We also have small holding videos as well. If you're interested in that side of things too, please feel free to check those out. But I tend to keep as many of the garden videos completely separate as I can, or at least when it's a garden theme, opening it up, I do try and keep it as just a gardening video. But sometimes life happens and these things morph. So I do hope that you enjoy the videos. They've been a little bit kind of different timings on when they're coming out and things. I can't commit to a certain schedule just because life really is so busy, and if I commit to something I don't want to end up feeling like I've let people down if we haven't been able to get it out on that time, or breaking our backs, just, well, probably shouldn't say that with Stephen, or, you know, putting ourselves out to the point where we're missing out on other things just because we're trying to get the videos out. At the end of the day, we are just capturing everything that we're getting up to here and sharing it with you guys because we absolutely love it. Basically, we love seeing what other people are doing. We love catching up on how other people's gardens are doing, other people's small holdings are doing, what you're doing in the kitchen, just life in general, to be quite honest with you. So anyway, I'm sat here chatting on, haven't got anything done, so cheers to Friday. I hope everybody's well and has had a good week and that you've got a bit of downtime for the weekend. So we're going to turn this around. Turn this around. So I'm not kidding about the baseball hat. If I take this off, it's really, I seem to struggle with how light and bright things are, and it kind of makes me squint a little bit too much. But unfortunately it does mean that I end up really warm when I'm sat here as well, because obviously, well, for obvious reasons. So what's everybody been up to? How are your gardens doing? A lot of people do share in the comments about the gardens, which is absolutely lovely. And I know that we've got a few people watching from the other side of the world who we have just had our summer solstice. So it was the longest day yesterday, so officially the start of summer for the, is it the astrological? Is that the right word? Not meteorological, astrological calendar. You know what I mean? So some people say it starts on the 1st of June. But if you follow the astrological calendar, then you think it starts on the summer solstice. At least that's my understanding anyway. So yes, longest day yesterday and officially in summer now. Somebody did say, well, that means it's all the way downhill till winter. I just thought, oh my goodness me, let's just have a bit of summer first and enjoy it. I'm going to take off a lot of the bottom of the leaves as well today, just because things are starting to get a little bit green in here. There's a lot going on, and I don't want too much foliage that it kind of takes over and we can't get enough air going through the plants. Some of these are fine just to snip off with my fingers, others probably just want a little snip with these little secateurs. Some of them are quite large, because some of them are quite large, like this side shoot there. So if I wanted to, I'm not going to on this one, I have on some others, I could shove that in the compost and that would reroot. Tomatoes are fantastic at doing that. Okay, so looking at this, something I'm going to have to get done this weekend is come in and make these canes a little bit sturdier, because there's not that much depth of the beds for the canes to go in. They are not as sturdy as they would be if they were on, it's a concrete base essentially. So obviously if they were just on soil, we'd be able to put them in a lot lower down. So I'm going to have to find a way to make these a little bit sturdier. I also need to get some cane toppers on these, so can you write that on the list for me as the first thing to do? Well, it's not going to be the first thing that I'm going to do, because the first thing that I need to do is finish off the jobs that we didn't get to last weekend, because it was Father's Day, and I ended up having to help Stephen because it was a two-man job that he was doing and he was on his own. And so I helped him get that job done, and so I didn't get a few of the other jobs done, with it being Father's Day and everything as well. So this weekend I'm going to get out. My first job is going to be harvest the onions in the bed that's done the worst out. I was going to say terribly, that's a bit unfair. It's done the worst out of all of them, so that's going to be my first job, to harvest those. And then the ones that have bolted, because there's quite a few that have already bolted, check those out, see if they're salvageable. Hopefully they are. If they are, I'm going to chop those up and get them in the freezer. So this plant here is a prime specimen for taking off some of the lower leaves. It's just going to be a complete jungle in here if I don't do that. Oh my goodness me, there are absolutely tons. Look at that. Oh my goodness, right, that is absolutely huge. See, this now then becomes a problem. How has that even happened? Stand up. This is a flipping side. Can you see that? That's a side shoot. So this is when Tracy says you should be cutting that off, and then doesn't, because it's too big to cut off and it feels like I'm actually murdering it. Oh dear me. That's why it looks like a jungle. Right, at least I'll take the side shoots off the side shoot. Have some something about you, lady. Right, that's off the top of that one. Oh, what would you do? Would you... Right, I'm taking the leaves off it. What would you do? Would you take that side shoot off? That is literally, can you see it's coming off here? Decisions. Right, let's just leave it until you tell me what to do. I'm very decisive normally, unless it's something that I don't want to make a decision on because I don't want to do it. No, don't snap it. Yeah, I definitely need to support these canes more. So another thing that I'm wanting to get done this weekend, as well as harvest those onions, you see I'm actually already sweating, is get some more of the rhubarb harvested. I did say that last week, but unfortunately didn't get round to as much as I wanted to. So the rhubarb is coming to the end. I'll be harvesting that for probably at least until the end of June, because ours is a really well established plant. The asparagus, now that we're past the longest day, we'll probably have 1 or 2 more cuttings off that. I've got quite a bit in the freezer as well, so that's really good. But other things are starting to come in that are ready to be harvested. So maybe you caught one of my previous videos where I was talking about some of the chokeberries. They were, last weekend they weren't completely black, but I've just walked past them having a look at something else, and they are looking pretty good. They're looking like they're ready to be harvested. So now we've got the majority of the work with getting the plants into the ground, and it's just staying on top of the weeds and things. The time now is starting to come into getting more of the harvests done. So starting off with the fruit more so. So I want to really have a good amount of rhubarb harvested this weekend and preserved. Camera's slipping down. I think, I can't remember if I told you guys, but I actually started a video and was editing it on the rhubarb. I think I did tell you. And I'd made a granola and some rhubarb cordial, and I just really didn't like the video, so I just deleted it in the end. So I have been saying that I'm going to do a rhubarb series, and I haven't got anything out yet, so my apologies for that. We shall see how tomorrow, this weekend, goes with harvesting more of the rhubarb. Right, I'm going to start this one here. Right, this has got the same problem as that plant, and it's got a huge side shoot, so I'm going to be brave and just snap that off. Now I feel a little bit sick that I've done that, because there's actually flowers on this. See, this is what happens. Right, I'm going to cut these off and I'm going to replant this. It's a little bit bigger, but you can see it had already started. In fact, I'm not going to put it in the bucket, chop it up, gone, done. Be brave. Okay, this is a Rose de Berne. So at the back here I've got a new variety to me, but I'd heard a few people rave about them, including I like to watch Vivi's garden, although she's stopped the gardening at the moment, hasn't she, with moving house. I'm not sure what she's going to be doing. So I've got yeah, so they're a new variety to me, so we shall see how they go. Hopefully we will like them and we'll keep seeds from them. If we don't and not worth it, then we won't, and we'll try something different next year. I'm just going to pull a few of these weeds out while I'm here. There's a lot of tomato plants that come up from last year's tomatoes that have dropped off the plant, and obviously all the seeds have then germinated this year. They actually germinate better than the ones that we've tried to germinate typically. Whew! Getting hot in here. Let's not go any further on that one. Oh, it's done it again over here. How am I missing these? Oh, bugger. So the outdoor peppers, you're going to have to excuse me talking with my back to you. The outdoor peppers are looking to be a complete fail. That wasn't the top of the tomato plant, was it? I'm going to fasten that to there. I'm not chopping that one off now that I've done that. I might have inadvertently caused a problem. Well, another problem. Do you know, this happens every year. I think that I've got on top of them, and then there'll be like a whole new tomato plant that I've just not even seen coming, and then it's suddenly arrived. Anyway, I'm going to concentrate and talk to you guys for a minute, because if I don't, then that'll be why, because I can't do two things at once. I'll have been chatting away and then didn't get finished. Or I'll have thought, oh, I know, let's go and finish wine and not come back with the tomatoes. Anyway, I'm trying to sort out my dishevelled state. Should we go for a little wander outside, I think? That's why the tomatoes aren't getting done. Let's go for a wander outside, because I'm extremely warm and uncomfortable sat here. Just on the way out, these little white shallow trays at the bottom of buckets that Stephen's cut off for me. The buckets had no use for them, and he's just cut the bottoms off, and so that means that I can start using these to water from the bottom. To be honest, I could do with a million more, because the peppers and everything, you can see, are starting to dry out quite quickly. These have all had a really good water since, but we're at the season now. Obviously fantastic that the weather is picking up and we're in for a bit of a heat wave here, but it does mean that watering will be the first thing on the agenda. That will become the priority. So tomatillos, I've got them, I was just testing it out on the floor. That's working fantastically. I might see if I can come up with something else, or if I can find some other things to use underneath the peppers. That's the only thing with still having things in containers. Obviously when they're in the back of the greenhouse in that raised bed, it's a lot easier. Anyway, let's have a quick gander in there. In here we have got some seeds that have started to germinate, some turnip. I don't normally do turnip, I know they don't like to be transplanted, but I'm going to give it a go anyway. Don't normally do them in the cells. Greyhound cabbage, tundra cabbage, all year round cauliflower, terrible germination, and the Savoy Perfection, terrible germination there as well. Get some more of those in this weekend. I'm going to get these Swiss chard in, finally get these stromboli potted on. I'm going to get some more sown, and unfortunately the parsley was a little bit unhappy with the heat, so we'll get some more of that in too. Probably start calling myself parsley. I'm a little bit unhappy with the heat myself. I have got purple sprouting broccoli that's ready to go in this weekend. That's going to go in the bed where the onions are coming out of. We'll take a look at that in a second. There's nothing to do in here this weekend. I've already done that tonight. That's the tomatoes, if you didn't see that video, the ones that were on the shelf where the peppers have now taken over. The tomatoes have gone into the polytunnel just there. So yeah, nothing to do in there apart from water. I won't need to water tomorrow. I've given them a really good soak in today. Having said that, it is due to be mid-20s, which is unheard of for us here, so I'll just have to keep an eye on it, because I'm not sure how the compost in the polytunnel will react to that. It might need a little bit of water tomorrow night. Wow, what's the breeze? I haven't got my microphone on, my new microphone. which you can hear every breath I take on. So the wind might get interrupted us a little bit. The brassicas are still looking okay, quite surprised at that. The other thing, when I was saying about harvesting strawberries, look at these. Can you see the splodges of red? There's a few there that are ready, that are going to be harvested this weekend, so looking forward to those. We've got the net over, Stephen and I got the net over at the end of the last video, if you didn't catch that. That was on the small holding one. We do talk about some garden stuff on the small holding video. Oh, that was the other thing. I'm glad I've come out here because you've reminded me. We're going to get this garlic up this weekend, and that frees up this bed for winter things as well. It gives me a chance to kind of weed down. Look at my hands. Doesn't that look fantastic? I love tomato hands. Weed down the side of each bed and stamp that grass down. I'll pull it out as much as possible, but yeah, that garlic needs to come out as well. These onions are not the ones that I'm going to be harvesting, but any that have bolted, like this one, I will get those out too. It's actually this bed behind me, so there's more bolted here than haven't by the look of it. So like I say, if they're worth keeping, if they can be eaten, they will be eaten. You tend to find when the stems are as thick as that, there's not much onion left to use. But for example, the one down here, which looks ever so pretty, there all the way except it's also starting to go to flower. I tend to find that the red onions are worse for doing that. I don't know if everybody else has the same, you know, if that happens to other people as well. But so this is the bed that I'll be emptying. That's the priority in the morning. Get that emptied so that I can get the purple sprout and broccoli in, and when I've got that in, I'll be able to concentrate on the other things. Now the broccoli is more important to get in because it needs to come out of the containers than getting the garlic harvested. So if I have to decide between them, which to be fair I shouldn't have to decide, we've got all day, then it'll be the broccoli that needs to go in, the purple sprout in this is. Then I'll get the garlic harvested. Really not happy with that garlic this year, but we'll see what it looks like when it's harvested. I might do a separate video to the small holding video on that. I'm not too sure. This is where I do get a little bit confused, but anyway, we'll get that out. And then I've also got more apple mint to harvest too. Unfortunately, we've lost quite a few of our squash plant, another one overnight to slugs. Well, so this one here, as you can see, there's nothing in there because I've actually taken it out. It has got a hole in it where the slugs, it was slugs, sorry, not snails in this case. So that's 3 in this bed that I've lost. Hopefully no more. Those slug collars do seem to be working. Obviously if there's already slugs in the area when you put the collar on, there's nothing that you can do about that. And look, there's a few peppers coming as well, but like I said last week, oh, do you know, there's more holes than isn't. Put my wine down. Yeah, look. And on that one. How blooming it, oh, and on that one. Any advice is very welcome. Again, these ones outside were more of an experiment. The ones that are in the greenhouse are the ones that we're relying on for our food, but still disappointing. It would be nice not to have that problem. And then just continuing our wander, there is a spare bed over here in the new area, which I said I was going to put beetroot in, so that's on the list for this weekend too. Get that in. I'll have to make sure that that stays watered. There's already a weed in it. It's literally fresh compost on top of goat bedding, and there's some sort of brassica style weed in it. So yeah, when I get those seeds in, I'll have to make sure that they stay watered, otherwise obviously it's pointless putting them in. But the other beetroot are where are they? There, that bed there. They're looking really good. We love beetroot, so I want to make sure that we've got plenty. It's a fantastic winter crop, as well as the carrots, the potatoes and the squash obviously. Need to cover all bases though with the onslaught of the slugs etc. this year, so quite a few things to get done there. A lot more preserving over the coming weeks than what we have been doing, as the garden frees up a little bit more time. I say we shall see. The other bed, this bed, needs a little bit of attention tomorrow too, and it is due to be crazy hot again. I mean, I say crazy hot and people say that's not hot. It's really hot for me. I am not good working in the heat. Just making sure this hose pipe switched off, which it isn't. Right. So yes, working in the heat is potentially an issue, so I'll try and do early morning and late afternoon. We'll see how we get on. It's a nice temperature now, but we've got other things planned for tonight. We're going to head down, have a fire from all of the scrap wood. There is such a thing as scrap wood. He does let some of it go, and sit by the fire, have a couple of drinks, a couple of burgers, and enjoy our Friday evening before we come back tomorrow and get busy. Anyway, thank you for joining me for Friday in the greenhouse. Cheers, I really enjoy it. Half the time I'm just waffling, but I think we all need a good waffle to friends every now and again, don't we? Thank you for watching. I'll see you later.